This is Andrea Saavedra with the GABA team, and today I would like to provide information on how to fill out the seller's disclosure notice correctly. This information will be very beneficial for buyers, sellers, and real estate agents. I do believe that it's very important that we as professionals understand how to fill out the form correctly so we can instruct our sellers so we can keep them out of trouble. First of all, I'm going to go over the law. After all, the law is made and we have to follow it. Section 5.008 of the Texas Property Code makes clear that the requirement only applies to single unit residential property, that there is no requirement to disclose a death or HIV/AIDS illness, and that the notice must be completed to the best of the seller's belief and knowledge as of the date of the notice. If a particular matter is unknown to a seller, they may indicate that on the form. It's an important matter to understand is that the disclosure is in fact a legal representation of fact by a seller, and it is subject to liability if a buyer reasonably relies on its accuracy in making a purchase decision. Therefore, it's very important that we fill out this form correctly and as accurate as possible. When is a seller exempt from giving this notice? There are several exceptions, but I'm going to go over the most important one and common ones. That will be foreclosure. If you're trying to buy a house that has been foreclosed and the lender is selling the property, they don't have to provide you the seller's disclosure notice. If it's a estate sale, they don't have to provide you the seller's disclosure notice. If a property is being sold to or from a governmental entity, they don't have to provide a seller's disclosure. Or if a builder just finished building a house and it's unoccupied. So a builder doesn't have to disclose or provide a seller's disclosure notice. There are a few people that think that they don't have to provide a notice. And please go back to the law. This is the law, and especially for investors that do not want to provide a seller's disclosure notice because they never lived in the property, it does not apply to them. They do have to disclose. They do have to provide the form, and they do have to let you know what they think that the house has or not, what works or doesn't, and any other information that's in the form. So when investors tell you, I don't have to give you a seller's disclosure, it's very incorrect. Please remember, a buyer can terminate a transaction for any reason up to 7 days after finally receiving a notice, if not received prior to contract. So have your sellers fill out the form in as much detail as they know to be true, and rest assured that they are protected from future liability. We're going to move on to let you know how to fill out the form correctly. Here's the seller's disclosure notice. The first section is going to go over and it's going to ask you a couple of questions. If you are occupying the property, so in this case, I'm going to pretend I'm an investor. So I say, no, I'm not occupying the property. And I'm going to say, and then it's going to ask you how long since the seller has occupied the property. Since you never occupied the property, I'm going to put in here, no, I never occupied the property. But if the property has been occupied, then you will put in here since, let's say, June 15, 2007. Okay, then the section number 1 of the seller's disclosure, it's going to go over the property has the items marked below. You will either mark yes, no, or none. So I have filled out a lot of this information just so I don't spend a lot of time explaining and don't make this video pretty large. But and I'm gonna go. I left some of the squares blank just so so I explain to you the ones that are more important and where people usually have questions on. Right here I have that, does the property have ceiling fans? A lot of people tell me I only have one ceiling fan. If you do have one, you will put in here yes, even if you only have one. You don't have to put, you don't have to have a ton of ceiling fans in order to do yes here. You just gotta have one. Cooktop. It is very important to know that a cooktop, it's a cooking unit built into or fixed on the top of a cabinet. It's not a stove. It's not a freestanding stove. So you will put in here no if you don't have one. Then do you have a dishwasher? Do you have disposal? Yes. Emergency ladder? Yes or no. But do you have exhaust fans? This helps absorb the moisture in the atmosphere within the room as a result one will benefit from a reduction in problems such as mold. Does your property have one or not? You will put in here no. Fire detection equipment. It's important to know that fire detection equipment, when you have it on the form, it's different than a smoke detector, okay? The fire detection equipment usually detects the presence of fire, and the fire detection equipment can be linked to other systems, such as a sprinkler system that can be activated after the fire detection equipment. So it's different from a smoke detector. So in this case, I would just put no, because normally a lot of the houses don't have it. Then do you have a French drain? A French drain is a pipe that redirects the surface water and groundwater away from a place. Let's say you have a lot of water that gets stuck in your backyard, then you would do a French drain that will bring it out to the street. So that is a French drain. Do you have one? Have you ever built one? If you have, please put in here yes or no. Okay, so in this case, I will put no because a lot of the houses don't have it. Then I'm going to go to the next one. Do you have a microwave? A lot of people think that if you have a microwave, just a microwave, that means you put one in here. And usually I tell people, if you do have a mounted microwave, that's what you will put in here, yes. Because if you have your own microwave, you're going to take it with you. You're not going to leave it. But if it's mounted onto the wall, it's affixed to real estate, then you will put in here, yes. And then I'm going to move on to the next one, rain gutters. The rain gutters is the water discharge system for a house or a building. It's like a channel to take the water away from the house that comes on the roof. So if you have one, you will put in here yes or no. And then we move on to roof attic vents. Okay. The attic vent's purpose is to move the superheated air out of the attic, protecting the roof shingles and removing moisture. It provides conditions that allow air to flow. Overheated air in your home or attic is vented out and fresh air is pulled into the house to replace it. So normally there are certain amount of attic vents. You will have the static vent, you will have the dormant vent, the ridge vent that's usually at the top of the roof. So different types of vents, even soffit vent, it's one of them. So if you have one, you will put in here yes. A lot of the houses, most of the houses do have one. Do you have a TV antenna? I left this blank because a lot of people ask me, why a TV antenna? A lot of people don't even know what those are, but a TV antenna used to be in the older houses. If you have one, even if it's not working, you still put it in here, okay? So in this case, I don't have one. Then this second section of section number 1, where it says additional information, is very important, and I always like to make clear that there are several places where you have to fill out in just one item. For instance, do you have a central AC? You will say yes. I have an electric central AC. And how many units do you have? I have one. So it's very important that you fill out the whole complete a row of questions that you are asked within an item. We're going to move on to the next one. It's, do you have an attic fan? This is very similar, and it gets confused with the attic vents. For attic fans, we have different and different type of attic fans. You have powered attic fans. You have wind-powered attic fans. I'm sending you and I'm giving you another sheet of paper that has pictures of these items. So you identify the item and let me know if you have one or not. So you will click in here, yes, I have one, and I put in here powered attic vent. Let's say it's powered, so I would just put powered attic vents. Let me move on to the next one. Let's see. And let me just give you an example. Like, do you have a water heater? You will put yes, it's gas, and it's 1 unit. Okay. And another example of another thing that usually gets over, people don't see it in the form or don't fill it out correctly, is this. Do you have a fireplace or chimney? You will put yes. Is it wood, gas, log, or mug? Mug basically means it's a fireplace that just looks like one, but it does not function like one. So it's just the view of it. So you will put mug here, or gas if it's a gas log fireplace, okay? And if it's another type of fireplace, you will note it in here. Then you will have garage door openers. Do you have one? You will put yes. How many units? Sometimes you have one for both for the whole door, and sometimes each door has its own. So you will put one or two, and then how many remotes you have. You can have two, probably four, whatever amount of remotes you're gonna give to the buyer when they close, you will put it in here. If you don't have none, you will put in there none, and you still have a garage door opener, but you do not have a remote control. Moving on to the next page, if you have water supply or provided by the city, you will click here. If it's a mud district, it's very important that you click this part right here. And you know that based on who you pay taxes and water to. Was the property built before 1978? You will put in here yes if it was built before, not if it was not built before 1978. The roof type. A lot of people put in here just shingles or just leave it blank. Please go ahead and put in there shingles composition. I usually put it complete there because this basically lets everybody know that it's asphalt shingles and oh, I misspelled this, sorry, and it's composition. So when what is the age of the roof? I usually put the year. If it was, replaced in 2015, I will put in here 2015 or 2017 or 2005, whatever year that the roof was last replaced. There's an important question here, and a lot of people don't understand this. Is there an overlay roof covering the property? On the property, a lot of the times when people are trying to replace the roof, they leave the old shingles on the roof and they install the new ones on top of it. That usually is a negative thing to do because it will put more weight onto your attic, and I don't think that's good. But anyhow, some people do it, and you might want to put that in here if you have done, if there is an overlay, no overlay, or you don't know, you will put a none here. Then it will ask you here if there are any items on section 1 that are not in working conditions. For instance, right here I put that I have a water softener. A lot of the people have those, and they have them leased through a certain vendor. In this case, I just went with aqua filters, and basically this lets the owner know that you are taking that away with you, possibly that you're not leaving it. So that it's very important that you note that on this section you put in there water softener is not included with the house. So that will be an exception for them to take on the house. Then you have section number 2. If you are aware of any defects or malfunctions in any of the following. Driveways. It's very important that usually driveways do have cracks. And normally this is always a yes. But obviously you would put in there, what if you do have a new driveway? You don't have to put that in there. So I put there yes, because my driveway has some cracks, and then nothing here. And then right here, my fence is missing a few pickets. So I'm gonna put in here yes, and then the window has a crack. So I will note that in here. So then right here, you will have to give an explanation. So I say driveway has some cracks, and then the fence is missing some pickets. They will be replaced if I think that I'm gonna replace them. And the window in the master bedroom has a crack. So I will be a little bit of more, I want you to be more specific when writing this out. Then right here is very important. This is section number 3. And this is when you make the buyers aware of the following conditions. If you know that the property applies for any of this, you will put it in here. One thing that is very important, every time that I will send you a seller's disclosure, I will add this section right here, because I want you to know if right here you have yes, you have no, and you have unknown. So basically, do you know that the property has aluminum wiring? Before 1972, I want to say, a lot of the properties that were built had aluminum wiring. A lot of people don't like aluminum wiring, and they want to know if the property has it or not. Sometimes people, don't know if the house has aluminum wiring. At that point, I usually add this in here, or you will handwrite it if you're handwriting the form, and put in here unknown, because, and then leave this blank. It is acceptable because you don't know. Basically, you're letting them know, you're letting the buyer know, I don't know, but if you really want to find out, please go ahead and do your own inspections and find out. Then another thing that is right here that I have here, it's improper drainage, and I put in there yes. Sometimes the water is going slow in a bathroom, or probably in a tub, or the kitchen sink. So you would definitely let the buyer know that that is happening. And another thing that I left here blank, it's the encroachments on the property. If anybody has to cross your property in order to get to the property, or you have built something on the neighbor's land, this is where you will fill out that information, because you need to let people know what's going on in your property. So right here, let's say I don't have any encroachments, I will put no. And then another thing, a lot of the people don't know that their property is in a flood zone. Or maybe if they do know, they don't know if it's the 100-year floodplain, 500-year floodplain, if it's in a floodway. So if you have any questions in regards to this too, please always ask me or your realtor, and we will let you know. But you will let me know though, if you do have flood insurance coverage, if the property has ever entered the structures of your property. The structures of your property means your house. Has the water ever going to the actual house? So you will put in here yes or no. And then it will ask previous flooding onto the property. And that means that the property never, it's possible that the property never went into the house. So you will put in here no. But it did go into the backyard. So that actually went into your property, whatever is marked on the survey. So if the water did go into your property, please let us know. Because if you don't let the buyer know, trust me, the neighbors will. So the neighbors are so informative. They will tell the buyers if the water went into the house and how far it went. So it's very important that you guys fill this out correctly. And then you have more information here. Since I'm pretending to be a seller that is an investor, we have done previous foundation repairs, we have done previous roof repairs, so I will check that, and we have done other structural repairs. And then everything else is no. We go on to unrecorded easement. An easement is when a person has to cross your property for any reason. And if they do cross your property and you allow them, but there's nothing that is recorded, a recorded document letting you know that they can do this. So if you have any of those, please click in here yes or no. It's normally no, but you know, it's the question is there. And then we will move on to the next section. Here is where you're gonna have to explain the reason why you put yes on certain places, okay? For instance, right here we have improper drainage. So I put the water in the master tub drains slowly. The foundation was repaired in 2017. That will be for the foundation. We have a warranty. One bath was built, and then you start going into more detail. One bath was built, that basically means you did other structural repairs. So that is explained over here. And then since you're an investor and you fix the property completely, I go more depth into details as to, for instance, I do sheetrock was repaired, light and plumbing fixtures were replaced, new granite countertops were installed, flooring was replaced, the house was completely painted, new driveway, new windows, new appliances were installed, etc. So please make sure that you put a lot of details here. Section number 4 will ask you if there are any other items that are in need of repairs that you have not previously disclosed. So you will put in here no if you don't know of any. And then it's going to ask you a few questions. Some of them are questions that, you know, even if you put in here yes, you do have to give an explanation. But one common one that I see, it says room additions, structural modifications, and other alterations or repairs made without necessary permits or not in compliance with building codes in effect at the time. For instance, I'm an investor, let's pretend, and I did build one bath, remember? So I would put in here yes, because I built a bath. I did not ask for any permits from the city, which I probably should have, but I said yes because I built a bathroom. And then you do have a homeowners association in the property. In my case, I do have a homeowners association, so I will put in here, yes, management company, name of the management company. I don't necessarily need to add the manager's name, but yes, the telephone number, how much I pay a year, do I owe any fees? Please don't be scared and don't be afraid. You just put in here the correct information and nothing, it's less liability to you. You put in here, yes, I owe last year maybe, so I put in here 350. Then some other questions. This is important, any condition on the property which materially affects the health or safety of an individual. If you are aware of any of this, please put it in here. And any death on the property, except for those deaths caused by natural causes, suicide, accident unrelated to the condition of the property. But if it's something that was caused by the condition of the property, you will definitely disclose it here. And right here it says, if I put yes to any of this, I need to explain. Well, I don't have to explain the homeowners association because the information is all included in here, but I do have to explain this. So I will put in here, a new bathroom was installed. And that's pretty much it. You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but you have to be honest about it. Do you have a survey? If you do have a survey, you have to provide it to the buyer. So if you don't have one, you just put here no. Have you done any inspections on the property within the last 4 years? I put in here no. Are you claiming any tax exemptions? If you have lived in the property for probably 4 or 5 years, you probably have homestead. But if you don't know, ask me and I will let you know. But if you don't know, you can just also do unknown. Have you ever filed a claim to the property with any insurance provider? I put here no. And have you ever spent the money that was given to you to cover for a claim? And I put in here no, because I work only with honest people. No, I'm kidding. And then, does the property have working smoke detectors? This is an important one. It says right here that that the detectors have been installed in accordance with the smoke detector requirements of Chapter 766 of the Health and Safety Code. And you will even have additional information right here to let you know if your smoke detectors were installed with the Chapter 766. I always put or have my sellers do a none or no. Why? Because you never know if the Health and Safety Code changed last week. So you might have smoke detectors, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're with the code. So I always go unknown or no. Move on to the next page. This is your signature, and then additional notices to the buyer. This is the only information you can actually omit. But I will ask you to please, if you have a mud district where you pay your water, which is right here, please let the buyer know what is the phone number for that water company, okay? Because it's harder for them to find that information. And that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, please make sure that the form is accurate, that most of the information on it is complete, that you don't have two check marks on the same. For instance, right here, let's pretend that this was in a flood zone and it was not located in the floodplain. And see, I missed those. So I want to make sure that I fill those out. Everything else filled out correctly. And now I can go on to sign in my form. So let's do this. I initial it. I click in there unknown because I don't know if it's aluminum wiring or not. I'm not gonna open my outlet to take a look and find out because I don't know how to do that. So I will do unknown, and then I'm gonna initial, and sign. And we are done. Congratulations, you have filled out your seller's disclosure notice completely and you're now out of trouble. You guys have a beautiful day.